In this video, I'm going to be comparing two eBay clothing stores. One store that is doing a poor job at converting items into sales, and the other store doing a fantastic job with their sell-through rate. And stick around to the end, and we will do a deep dive into my eBay store and how I go about my processes into earning over $100,000 net a year on eBay. Okay, so the first store we're going to be looking at is called ThredUp, and they sell used and pre-owned clothing on eBay. And I chose this store mainly because for this reason. For every 11,000 items, they have one sale. So that is a very, very poor performing store. They have over 3.4 million items in their store, and they only convert for every one sale is for every 11,000 items. So to put into perspective, I have around 5,000 items in my store, and I can generate anywhere between 25 and 35 sales a day. Whereas ThredUp, for every one sale, they need to have 11,000 items. Could you imagine the storage facility that they have going on? So let's take a look at their listings, because the listings is what converts the sale. The banner looks great, the icon and the thumbnails look great, but it's the listing. How accurate are they describing their listings? How many photos are they having in their listings? And how are their titles structured? And then most important of all is how is their pricing? Those four things that we need to look for as resellers. What does eBay want from us resellers? How do they want us to structure our titles? How do they want us to price our items? We really need to understand how a listing needs to be created and how a listing needs to go about according to what eBay is telling us. We can't just go about posting however we want to do our title, however we want to do our item specifics, and just post some random pictures of a t-shirt. We need to really dial in what does eBay want us to do and follow that to a T. 3.4 million items. Let's look a little bit more in detail in their store. Let's look at this Ann Taylor just basic dress. So first of all, right off the bat, I'm noticing that their title structure is very poor. And for clothing, eBay wants us to do in this order. They want brand first. They want the item second. So it is Ann Taylor dress. And then they want gender third. Is it female, girls, male, boys? So we really need to dial in. So it is a Ann Taylor dress, women's, and then fourth would be size, followed with the specific keywords that are going to detail and describe our item accurately. So far, their first word is new with tags. That doesn't make any sense. Where eBay is looking for brand first. And as a buyer, are you typing in new with tags as the first word when you go looking for things on eBay? Already having a hard time trying to find this item. So new with tags, Ann Taylor, loft, woman, black, casual, dress. 4. This is all out of order, and this is probably the reason why they are seeing one sale for every 11,000 items. Their price, too high. A new with tags Ann Taylor dress, I sell all day for $14 with shipping. So this is a little too high, $23, free shipping. They offer 30-day returns, that's great. But here's the second part of why they are probably only getting one sale for every 11,000 items is they only have 2 pictures. So 2 pictures from a buyer's point of view is not enough for me to convert the sale. I want to see more of the details. I want to see, is it a zipper? Is it a button? What is the closure? What is the measurements? These are very important things when you're selling new with tags and used clothing is measurements. And most resellers, especially clothing resellers, do not put measurements in their photos. And this is key and detrimental to an eBay reselling business. We're gonna go look at their description and their item specifics. Color, black, they have the size right, they have the dress length correct. So they have some of the measurements in here in the item specifics, but I would highly recommend putting them in the photos as well, just to make sure, because if you are an eBay clothing reseller, you know that nobody reads the descriptions, nobody looks at the item specifics. So you really need to put clearly all over the listing what the size is, what is the dimensions, what is the rise. So a very nice template that they do have that does go into detail more of like the sizing, it's striped, the material, that's great. But we need to keep in mind that a lot of buyers do not read through this. They just skim right through it. They read the title, they go size 4, that's great. Shipping, like we said, they have free shipping, they have 30-day returns, that is good. 873,000 items sold. They are moving a lot of stuff, but you do need to consider what is the warehouse required to store 3.5 million items, and how many of those items are they having to pay every month for that relisting fee, that reinsertion fee. That's 25 cents every month on an item that doesn't sell. An item that you maybe get for $3 a year later, that's going to be a couple more dollars added on to your cost of goods if that item doesn't sell. So let's jump back into their store and see what else they got going on. So this Old Navy shirt, very simple, $14.99. This is something that I would list pre-owned as between $5 and $7. I most of the time wouldn't even pick up Old Navy. Right off the bat, their title, Old Navy Woman. It should be Old Navy shirt, women's, size, small. So they have Old Navy women, black, 3/4 sleeve, top, S. So they didn't even put in the keyword small. So just looking through it, 2 pictures again. They're nice pictures. They look great, and but there's only 2, and that's just not enough for me as a buyer to convert the sale. They do have measurements in the description, in the details, but I have mentioned before that most buyers don't read that. They just read the title and the size, and they go, looks great, boom, converted. That's just something to keep in mind, is like, recommend putting those measurements in your listings because they will help. Pretty basic brands, Old Navy, Cable and Gauge, East Bay, and Taylor. Let's go to page 4. Forever 21. Forever 21 is very saturated. $14.99 free shipping, so they're probably making a couple bucks on each of these sales. Again, 2 pictures. Does not give me a description of the condition, which is very important. Are there any defects? Are there any flaws? This item has been used. And then it says see details. Let's look at some of their item specifics. Long sleeve, blue. Material, no fabric content. Well, that doesn't make any sense because there is a material here. It's either rayon or polyester. Some type of material was used to make this shirt, right? So putting no fabric content is probably the worst thing you can do. It's better to just leave it blank. So Forever 21 women's embroidered, and then does not apply. Putting nothing is better than putting does not apply or NA. That is just messing up the search algorithm when people are trying to search for your items, right? So they have all their measurements in this template here. That's great, but as resellers, we want to put as many photos as possible describing the item as accurately as possible. This is why I highly recommend putting measurements in your listings. I chose this store because mainly seeing 3.5 million items and their conversion rate being so low, you really have to consider, man, if I'm going to store 3.5 million items, I better be converting more than 1 out of every 11,000. It's not enough sales to be justifying holding 3.5 million items. So let's go back into their store and see what they got going on. Hollister, J. Crew. This J. Crew shirt, it is silk, but for $42.99, I mean, come on. That's not going to work. That's just not going to work. J. Crew is one of the most flooded categories on eBay. When they put see below for more details. The type would be long sleeve, not long sleeve silk top. When you do your item specifics, you need to make sure you're choosing something that is already preloaded on eBay and not make any changes, because you're going to be entering something that the algorithm does not have stored. So when you put long sleeve silk top, that's not a type for for eBay. So therefore the algorithm's not going to recognize it. A buyer cannot search for that. You're just actually hurting your listing by adding your own keywords, your own phrases. If it does not describe your item, and if you don't know what the material is, just don't put anything. That is the best way to go about it. And as you gain more experience and as you go through your listings, you're going to start going, okay, I know the material type. I know the long sleeve, 3/4 sleeve, V-neck, domain sleeve. You're going to get more familiar with these item specifics that you'll be able to really speed up your process when it comes to listing, which is the goal. We want to get as fast as we can and describe our items as accurately as we can. V-neck, long sleeve green. See, they're also putting these item specifics in their own template, which can also, it's just like you're doing double the work. If you're already putting the item specifics in the right place on eBay, it doesn't make sense to do another template putting the same item specifics in your own template. You're doing double the work. This is not searchable. All of this stuff is not searchable. The description is not searchable. If you want to work twice as hard, go ahead and do that. It looks great, but at the same time, we want to go for speed and efficiency right here. The one thing I do like is they offer returns. So that is a big deal for me as a seller. I do want to have the buyer be able to buy with confidence. By offering return, you're showing the buyer on the other side that I have 100% confidence in my item, that it is accurately described, and that if you receive it and you're not happy, I will refund you as long as you ship the item back to me in the same condition that I sent it. It's just, we want to give buyers confidence. So by offering returns, it's showing that you are confident in your items. So let's get into the second store. I randomly just chose it. I looked at their sell-through rate. They're doing great. This is a smaller store with just 627 items called Sunny Lemonade. 100% positive feedback. 3,500 items sold and 166 followers. This is a great store, a great little store that's probably doing close to 6 figures a year in sales. What I like is their pictures are very clear. They're very authentic. They're not making it look better than the item actually is, right? Sometimes when you do a white background, it is looking like new, but you're selling pre-owned clothing, right? Having a white background can kind of deceive the end buyer into thinking like, this is a new shirt. And then when they get in the mail, it just looks like a plain old used shirt. So sometimes that can throw buyers off. Let's look at this listing here. This is a Quicksilver men's plaid shirt, extra large, blue short sleeve, has pocket. Not the best title. I would go Quicksilver shirt, men's, size, and then the keywords. So let's see how many photos we have here. We have all 12 photo slots filled up. Look at this. We have measurements. This is amazing. This is great. Clear, concise, picture of the tag and the style code. We have returns, 60-day returns, and we're looking at the item specifics. Quicksilver plaid, collared, button up. See, they're not using any keywords that aren't in the drop down menu, which can throw off the algorithm. We have a nice and concise short description. Nice shirt that is soft and comfortable with one chest pocket. Colors remain vibrant. I love this. It's just simple. We want it to be simple because we don't want to confuse our end buyers. The more things that you put on your listing, if you have just a wall of text, it's gonna sometimes have the buyer click off because they don't want that overwhelmed mass amount of text to read through. Think of the end buyer. They want this shirt. They want it accurately described. They want most likely returns showing that you are confident in your product, and they just want a simple transaction. But when you put all this stuff in there and all these fancy templates, sometimes the buyers can just be like, I'm gonna click off because I don't want to read all this, right? So keeping it as simple as possible is why I chose the store. Another reason why I chose the store is they have a daily coupon, the same strategy that I use. Having a daily coupon gets you this right at the top of your listings. Extra 20% off when you use this code SUN56788. That is great. That means they're taking advantage of the tools that eBay is offering. Let's go back and look at some of their other listings. Abercrombie & Fitch women's shirt, button up, pre-owned in good condition with no rips, tears, or stains. See pictures for measurements. Awesome. Very similar to what I have. So they have Abercrombie & Fitch women's shirt. That's great. I would have Abercrombie & Fitch shirt, women's large. Good. I mean, they have it a little bit out of order. I really want to drive it home that we really need to try to do what eBay is telling you to do. And I've seen some people put, keywords first and brand last and all these other things. And it's like, they wonder why your sales are slow. If you just follow the recipe, you're going to get the end result, right? If we don't follow the recipe, you're going to get a hard as rock cake. You're going to get a salty cake. You need to follow the recipe. So the recipe for eBay is brand, item, gender, size, followed with accurately described keywords. That is how you do a clothing title. And electronics is different, toys is different, DVDs, they're all different. And eBay has all this information readily available for you as an eBay seller. So what I like is that they're taking advantage of the tools by offering a daily coupon. They have measurements in their listing. They have any defects or anything that would, if they have a nice cufflinks or fancy button, or maybe it's a button down collar, they're taking those pictures and they're showing you, hey, pay attention to these extra little pieces of information about this garment. Can really go a long way to describing the item to your end buyer. So $9.99, in my opinion, that is priced great. $5.99 shipping, 60-day returns. Let's look at their item specifics. I think they're knocking it out of the park at their item specifics. Soft and comfortable shirt made of 55% cotton and 45% viscose. Pre-owned and good condition, no rips. Another thing I wanted to show you all was how can we check their sell-through rate. So if we go down here, we can go to see all, 627 items. If you go all the way down here, we can see how much have they sold in the last 90 days. They have sold almost 400 items in the last 90 days. That means they would sell through their store in about 4.5 to 5.5 months. Their store would have nothing in it if they didn't list a single thing. That is a great sell-through rate. If you have 700 items, 600, 700 items, and you're selling through 400 of those items every 90 days, most retail stores are lucky to even sell through 5% of their entire store in the whole year. So that is insane. This is such a good opportunity on eBay, especially if you're a used clothing seller. It is such an awesome time right now to be buying stuff for very cheap, brand specific items that can help you build a 6-figure income. So Sunny Lemonade, shout out if you're watching this ever. Great job in your store. Very happy for you. There's many stores just like this on eBay. You just got to go looking around. Try to see what other stores are having a good sell-through rate. What is their sell-through rate like? Everyone starts out as an everything seller. So keep that in mind. If you're just getting started, it's okay to start out as an everything seller. We got to get the ball moving. And when you start out as an everything seller, you may not know what niche you want to get into on eBay. So starting out as an everything seller allows you to sell things that maybe you like selling DVDs and you never thought you did. And maybe you start venturing over into shoes. I really like selling shoes. But starting out as an everything seller is great, because if you start out selling something you don't like, it's going to be hard to have that passion and consistency when you're years down the road in your business and you're just like, I don't want to sell shoes anymore. I'm tired of cleaning shoes. So starting out as an everything seller is great, because you can get familiar with the items that you do like to sell, or maybe you come across a source that also aligns with the things that you like to sell. Without further ado, we're gonna jump into my eBay store, Clothes Plus Stuff, where I have just under 5,000 items. It's a very simple store. I just wanted to just touch on it briefly, as this store is about 18 months old. Started out as an everything seller, and then we converted into clothing a couple months into selling. And it's been great. We have about 5,000 items listed, and we sell about 2,200 items every 3 months. So about 30 to 40% sell-through rate. Nothing special here. I pick up Nike. I pick up Columbia. I pick up LL Bean, North Face, just very bread and butter items. I don't specialize in Louis Vuitton and Gucci. Every now and then we'll find those smart wool brands, those Arc'teryx brands, but that's not what the foundation of my business is composed of. It is those bread and butter brands, everyday value, common items. Remember, common items lead to common sales. I'm not looking to sell Louis Vuitton cufflinks and all these fancy things that most people aren't looking for, right? So if you look through my store, very common. I always have a daily coupon going. Every day I redo my coupon, 30% off. So if you see how I do some of my title structures, it's brand first, billabong, shirt, and then it would be gender, which is men's. And then I go with the size. And then I go with keywords describing my item. And I always take 12 photos. I always have measurements in my listings. And I always have a description, condition description that is not long, but concise enough to accurately describe my item. I have it priced at $14.95, $5.95 shipping. I use what is called bucket pricing, to where I don't go out and actively look for comps for every single item that I list. I have a bucket pricing for generic brands, and I just price it at that bucket price. It's like a price that ranges between like $12.95 to $17.95. And that just helps speed up the process. The more familiar that you get with your brands in putting in your brand list, you're going to start to realize, I don't need to look up every single item. I don't need to go out and search for comps, because that does take up a lot of time during the listing process. And we're going for speed and efficiency here when it comes to listing items on eBay. So let's take a look at our item specifics. So we have medium, country, United States. We have cotton, regular, pockets, does have a pocket. It is not vintage. We're short sleeve, geometric pattern. We have logo down here. This is great, good stuff. And this is my description right here. It is confirming what you're getting, which is, I just copy paste the title, which is not necessary. So that can help speed up time. And then I just have this template for all my clothing. For used clothing, I have a different template. For new clothing, I have a different template. And new with tags, I have a different template. So, and all those templates you could preload into eBay. Clothing is used, it is cleaned and inspected per eBay guidelines. I put in red bold, I put please note, item measurements are approximate and may differ from size tag. As you know, if you are a clothing reseller, you do get returns for doesn't fit, which is fine because most buyers don't read the description. But it's important that you have that in case you get a false item not as described. It covers you, which you can appeal those false item not as described so they don't affect your seller metrics. Very important there. So this is bringing back the importance of accurately describing your items and making sure you're covering yourself by putting those things in your listing. Let's go back and look at some of my other items. I also have a daily coupon combined with a markdown sale. Items that are over 120 days old start out at a 30% markdown sale in addition to a 30% coupon. Not everyone is going to use my 30% coupon, so having that markdown sale is also just another way that you can use the tools that eBay is offering you, so you can take advantage of more sales. Items that aren't selling after 100 days aren't selling for a reason, and most of the time it has to do with price. Price is the thing that can affect your sales the most, and sometimes just lowering the price is going to generate more sales. And I want to make this clear, is that it is so important that we don't fall in love with our items. Especially as resellers, the worst thing you can do is have a love and affinity for your items, thinking that the items that you have are better than everyone else's and I should be commanding top of market price. Listen to this. I am in the money-making business, not in the storage business. So I have no love for my items. I am ready to get these items moving and grooving so I can get these items sold and then those profits reinvested back into my business so I continue to grow and scale my business, because my business model focuses on the volume game. I'm focusing on volume. Putting that into your mind as a reseller, just don't fall in love with your items. Especially if you sell common items, just maybe consider taking a little less on the price. And if you're having slow sales, consider doing a volume discount, because that is going to help engage your store and engage the algorithm, saying that, hey, I'm willing to take less, even less than market value, to get these items moving. Because you do need to consider that 25% fee for the reinsertion every month as your items come to an end and then get reinserted. So I have a 55% off, $16.95 I had originally listed. It just goes through this process of, I don't need to go and change the price manually. It goes through my volume discount, or it goes through my markdown sale process. After 120 days, it starts out at 30% off. Over like 180 days, it goes to a 50% off. And then if it goes past like 8 months to a year, I'm ready to kill this thing and get it out like 80-90% off. Get it out of here, because also consider that you are paying maybe $1 or less per item. If you are going to the Goodwill bins or you're doing bulk buys, your cost of goods are maybe ranging between $1 to $3. And if you're buying at the retail thrift store, maybe your cost of goods are ranging a bit higher, $5 to $8. But do keep that in mind, is like, if you can just break even on an item that was a poor purchase, that is better than holding on to it and waiting. So remember, some of the money all the time, or all of the money some of the time. That is a principle to consider as you continue to scale and build your business up. So just also, if there are defects, pilling on sweater, I want to make sure that is clear to the end buyer that they're not getting something that is not accurately described when they get in the mail, that's just got pilling all over it. Oh my, I'm gonna freaking die. This is terrible. So describing that and putting that in the listing is crucial. If it has holes, if it has stains, point it out in the listing. Don't cover that stuff up. Make sure you are 100% transparent when you come to selling anything on eBay. Picture of the tag, picture of the measurements, picture of the inside material tag. People want to see this stuff. Want to point that out if you're considering starting a store. Be authentic, be transparent, be genuine. It's something that is needed in today's world. And if you want to take your eBay store to the next level, or maybe you're thinking about starting an eBay store, then consider joining my eBay coaching program, found in the link in the description down below, where we meet Monday through Friday for 1 hour a day, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I help you put a system in place that helped me reach over $100,000 in sales in my first year on eBay. I'll see you there.